So, do you want to defeat Malenia, and you want to do it without cheesing her, but you keep losing to anime? Well, good news. I've suffered countless battles so that you don't have to. In this video, I will be giving a combination of general advice and specific directions that will help you overcome Malenia's moveset and defeat her without using any gimmicks or summons. Let's get started.
Hey, listen!
First, I know some of you will want to know exactly what equipment I was using, so I will put that on the screen. But feel free to ignore that. As long as you can make her flinch with a light attack, you have a good shield that negates physical damage, and you're at medium weight, you should be able to replicate this game plan. The simplest part of our strategy is going to be the spacing. Being too close to Malenia means you may end up having to block, which will let her heal. And if you waste time and stamina by dodging, you won't be able to punish her openings as effectively. You want to be at mid-range, where you can get her to continue her combos, but you can also completely avoid those combos by just moving backwards. The only time you want to roll is if you're going to take advantage of an opening, or if she gets too close and you can no longer avoid her attacks by just moving back. Moving on. Now this may sound like a joke, but I'm dead serious when I say that the next thing we want to take note of is our stamina. No, not that stamina. I'm talking about our stamina in real life. If you want to go toe to toe with Malenia's moveset without using summons or cheesing her, then you're going to be in for a long battle. And you don't want to underestimate how draining a battle with Malenia can be. Even the attempt where I emerged victorious took roughly 15 minutes, and when you're focused for that long, when one mistake can be the difference between victory and defeat, you can bet that the experience will be mentally draining. If you notice that you're making a lot of mistakes, or feel tired, come back and try again the next day. Lastly, the most important part of this game plan is make her flinch. If you can make Malenia flinch, not only can you interrupt certain attacks and get in multiple hits at a time, but you can make sure you're usually on the offensive and you can force her to use certain moves more than others, which you will be able to take advantage of. Generally, you want to continue hitting her with light attacks until she does not flinch. If she does anything besides flinch, that's your sign to stop attacking and start moving back. Fortunately, what she does out of a flinch seems to be limited, and since we're going to talk about those options, now is a good time to get into the nitty-gritty. Here's what you should actually be on the lookout for.
Hey, listen!
From my experience, her out of flinch options are dash to the side and attack, deflect while jumping back before attacking, retreat by jumping backwards several times, and, if you're really unlucky, waterfowl. No! The second phase also adds a kick to these options, but that's not an attack you need to be too afraid of. If you see her dash to the side, you want to avoid the first attack by rolling. Pay close attention to her follow-up attack. If she keeps attacking horizontally, return to mid-range and wait for a new opening. On the other hand, if she swings downward, she'll follow up with a jump attack. Roll in on this jump attack and get in some hits of your own, or if you didn't react fast enough, jump in after the attack and you should still have some time. Sometimes, she'll still use this jump attack after several horizontal slashes, so keep an eye out. The best case scenario out of a flinch is for Malenia to deflect your attack and dash backwards. If she does this, you want to pay attention to her sword. If you see and hear a spark animation, she's about to do something that you can likely punish. The first possibility is a long lunge. You'll know this is coming if she hops in place before the sparks, so you should prepare to roll backwards and punish once she's close to you. The other move she might use is the triple slash. This is a move that will consistently punish you if you roll backwards. Instead, you want to roll diagonally forward and to the left of her sword side. If you do this, she'll follow up with another spark animation. You need to pay extremely close attention here. Sometimes she'll unleash several slashes that can lead into many different attacks. But sometimes she takes the slightest pause after the spark animation and that's the indication that she will use a slower slash that you will be able to punish immediately after it comes out. As always, you want to be moving backwards, but if you see that slight pause, prepare to get some hits in. If Malenia decides to retreat after her flinches, you can choose to run after her and punish if you have the stamina, but I wouldn't get too fixated on trying to rush a punish here. If you waste stamina catching her and she uses waterfowl as you approach, you're likely to be in an unfavorable position. No! Speaking of waterfowl, I know that's the move you've all been waiting to hear about. Luckily, I have two different ways for you to survive Malenia's most hated technique. The first way is much more ideal, while the second way is for people who can't seem to get the dodge timing down and simply would like to prioritize staying alive. First of all, you need to always be prepared for waterfowl to come out. What this means is you don't want to have your back near a wall ever. And you have to hone your instinct to move or run back when you see Malenia jump up and hover. If you're too close when she starts the attack, the hitbox can get really wonky and the attack might hit you when it normally wouldn't have. Plus, the more you move back, the fewer slashes you have to deal with. Don't go too far back though, because you'll need to roll past her after her first burst. For her first set of slashes, simply block. I know we usually want to avoid blocking so she doesn't recover health, but this move isn't used often, and giving a little bit of health is much better than losing a bunch of your own. Next, for the second set of slashes, you should be able to roll behind her right before the slashes come out. The timing for this roll shouldn't be too bad for any player who has gotten this far. Now, the third set of slashes is where waterfowl gets tricky. If you want to take the more ideal route, this set of slashes can also be dodged by rolling behind her, but the timing is stricter than the previous set of slashes. It also requires you to make sure you're moving back until you're ready to roll. You want to roll towards her after you see the slashes begin. If you do this correctly, you shouldn't take any damage, and you should also be out of range of the last hit of the technique. Here's an example of how that looks. If you simply can't get the timing down, the other option will at least keep you alive. Instead of trying to roll through her third set of slashes, you can crouch right when she's about to start the attack. Best case scenario, the terrain is on your side and you won't get hit at all. Worst case scenario, you get hit once. In either case, once she goes over your head or hits you, you want to start blocking. She won't land all of her hits, but a few will still hit your shield. Using this strategy will also put you in range for the last hit of waterfowl, so be prepared to block or roll. Here's what it looks like. An important point about waterfowl is that you can roll through the final explosion and punish Malenia, but there's no guarantee that she will flinch, so you'll need to be prepared for her to retaliate with an attack of her own. Now that you know how to get through waterfowl, the very last thing you need to know about the first phase is you want to always take advantage of her spinning kick. If you've been constantly moving back, you'll be out of range of this kick unless she dashes first, and you should be able to hit Malenia and make her flinch. But make sure you hit her right after the kick is finished. If you hit her too early or too late, she won't flinch and she'll likely punish you for poor timing. If you can make use of this advice for Malenia's first phase, the first half of the battle should eventually become a piece of cake. Of course, Malenia does more than just the things I've mentioned, but they are much less important in the grand scheme of things, and we don't want to make this into an hour-long video. With that, let's move to the second phase.
Hey, listen.
The good news is that there are many similarities between the first and second phase. The bad news is that some of the similarities will actually work against you. Let's start with the easy stuff though. Two of the attacks we've discussed can be punished in the exact same manner. The kick from the first phase, and the slow slash that follows the triple slash combo. No need to rewrite your muscle memory for these. Another attack you can deal with the same way, assuming your gear has enough resistance to Scarlet Rot, is Waterfowl. I know letting the Scarlet Rot build up is a bit scary, but as long as you keep it from filling all the way up, you'll be fine. If the Scarlet Rot bar is high, simply be patient and move away from Malenia until the Scarlet Rot has mostly faded. If you don't have the necessary patience or gear to deal with Waterfowl this way, I'd suggest some items that help counteract Scarlet Rot. Okay, here's where things start to get tough. A number of other attacks you were able to punish in the first phase now require a little more setup to take advantage of. Let's start with an example. Remember this stab? Previously, you could punish this for free. In the second phase, however, if you plan to punish this attack consistently, your spacing will need to be impeccable. Malenia has added a follow-up to a lot of her combo finishers that will most likely activate if you are close to her. If you can manage to get outside of her attack range, or she just happens to end her combo when you're up close, then you can punish the same way you did during the first phase. Otherwise, Malenia will take to the sky. Now, even if she does jump, you will still have an opportunity to punish, so no need to panic. The difficult part, though, is that Malenia can come down with a delayed explosion attack or a horizontal slash. If you're spacing the same way as usual, you should be able to dodge either of these attacks. If she comes down with a slash, roll away, and try to put space between you and her because she can throw out a lot of follow-up attacks. On the other hand, whenever you see a delayed explosion, that's your cue to prepare an attack. You want to be ready to either run, jump, or roll in reaction to the explosion. If you time it just right, you should be able to get in a few hits. Just be sure not to start attacking too early because the explosion will punish you. In addition to this stab attack, the same advice applies to the jump attack that carries over from the first phase. One thing you should note, though, is that she can follow a delayed explosion with a jump sometimes, so don't let your guard down. You can also apply this advice to a new attack she uses that looks like this. She also does this attack when you try to heal from far, so be ready to punish. There's one thing you should know though. I can't say this with 100% certainty, but it felt like she used Waterfowl quite often after I punished this particular attack. If you seem to run into the same issue, then it's probably not worth punishing this opening. Sorry I wasn't able to test this theory out more. You can apply the advice about spacing and stopping Malenia from doing a follow-up to this particular wind-up attack as well. Since I'm far enough, she does nothing after the attack, and I can move in for the punish once I know she won't throw out a follow-up attack. The last piece of advice you'll likely need is dealing with this move she's added to her repertoire. Dealing with it is actually not too bad, but if you make a mistake, you're going to be in big trouble. First thing to note is that you have to learn the dodge timing for both hits. At first, I was blocking the initial attack, but Malenia gains a huge chunk of health if you block, and it's not worth giving her that much health for an attack you can easily learn to dodge. Secondly, remember when I said keep your back away from the walls? Well, here's another reason to do so. If you get stuck near a wall when she uses this, your chance of avoiding the Scarlet Rot is going to be extremely low. Seriously, I've lost many battles because the wall cut me off. Do not neglect this point. I know there seems to be a lot of things I didn't cover, but if you can implement the advice I've given in this video, you'll be able to make it through the Malenia battle just fine. Still, if there's something that's really holding you back, let me know in the comments, and I'll reply with how I dealt with the issue you're facing if I encountered it. Also, if you have a better way of dealing with anything I mentioned in the video, please let me and everyone else watching know in the comments. Last thing I would like to mention is that if you would like to see the battle where I finally stood victorious over Malenia, I've posted an unedited video to supplement this one that you can watch. You'll see the recommendation at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be wishing you all luck in your battles with Malenia. Also, since we've finished Elden Ring and Sekiro over on Twitch, the next FromSoft game we'll play is the original Dark Souls. So if you want to know when that's happening, be sure to follow me at BrooklynB_JP over on Twitch. Of course, if you liked this video, be sure to drop a like and a follow. Your support is greatly appreciated. I'll see you all next time. Take care.